Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a topic that's both fascinating and a little bit mind-bending: how AI and XR are poised to revolutionize K-12 education.
It's about to get really interesting, that's for sure.
We're basing this deep dive on a white paper from EON Reality.
Yeah, they're a global leader in applying these technologies not just to education, but also to industrial training, which I think gives them a really interesting perspective.
I totally agree. And what really caught my eye was their breakdown of how AI is going to impact education in three distinct phases.
Oh, yeah, their roadmap is super compelling, I have to say. They call these phases AI agents, AI workers, and then
AI guidance?
AI titans. It's like a
Yeah.
superhero team for learning, right?
I love that analogy.
Mhm.
So let's unpack this a little bit. Starting with AI agents, what does that even mean? Are we talking about like little robot teachers running around the classroom?
Not quite robots, but maybe close in a way. EON Reality sees this phase, which they predict will be from now until about 2028, as the time when AI becomes like this really powerful teaching assistant.
So AI handling things like grading.
Exactly, like grading, personalizing lessons to each student's specific needs, even acting as a virtual tutor.
Interesting. So it's not about AI replacing teachers, but rather giving them these incredible new tools.
Exactly, and helping each student really thrive. Like, imagine a world where teachers are freed from all of those more tedious tasks.
Right. So they can really focus on what humans do best, things like inspiring students, fostering creativity, encouraging them to think critically.
Yeah, it's a shift from just memorizing facts to really applying knowledge in a way that's meaningful to each student.
That makes a lot of sense. And it really ties into Eon Reality's idea of creating future-ready learners. They actually outline 5 core pillars of their future-ready curriculum: AI literacy and basics, data and algorithmic thinking, robotics and automation, digital citizenship and media literacy, and creative arts and AI collaboration.
It's kind of cool how they've thought that through. It's not just static, right? Each of these pillars actually evolves right alongside those phases of AI development.
So, for example, what starts as basic AI literacy in the AI agents phase could become much more advanced as AI capabilities grow. I'm thinking of things like digital citizenship.
Oh, yeah, great example. So, in the AI agent phase, digital citizenship and media literacy might be about understanding, like how algorithms work.
And how to spot fake news online.
Yeah, exactly. But then as we move into the AI worker phase, it becomes more about collaborating with AI to create and share information in a way that's ethical and responsible.
So it's not just about being a passive consumer of information. It's about becoming an active, ethical creator in this digital world. And this is where Eon Reality's platform, Eon XR, comes in.
Right. It's not just theory. They've actually built the tech to make this happen.
Yeah, they're not just talking the talk, they're walking the walk. So Eon XR combines this immersive XR technology, which includes both AR and VR, with AI to create these super personalized learning experiences.
And I think it's important to note that it's not just about making things look cool. It's really about making learning more engaging and, more importantly, more effective, right?
More accessible.
Yes, more accessible, exactly, because not everyone has the same resources.
And what's really fascinating is that Eon XR itself evolves along with those AI phases, so it becomes more powerful and more tightly integrated with the curriculum as we move through those different
Well,
phases.
it's not a static platform. It's going to grow and change as AI does, which I think is really cool.
So I'm kind of curious, what does learning on Eon XR actually look like in each of these phases? Let's start with something simple, like learning about the human heart. So in that phase 1 with AI agents, how would a student use Eon XR to learn about the heart?
Okay, so picture this. You put on a VR headset, and suddenly you're standing in front of a giant beating heart.
I mean, that's already way more engaging than a textbook, right?
Yeah. Right. And it's not just about the visuals. The AI acts as your guide, not just showing you around, but also, explaining things, answering questions, speaking to you in your native language, making sure the level of information is appropriate for your understanding.
So it's like having a world-class anatomy tutor, no matter where you are in the world.
Exactly.
Okay, that's amazing. But as we move into phase 2, that AI worker phase, how does that experience change?
All right, so now imagine, instead of just observing that heart, You're actually collaborating with other students from around the world in a virtual lab to, say, design a prosthetic heart valve.
Whoa, okay, that's taking it to a whole new level.
Right. You're sketching ideas, and the AI is generating 3D models based on your input. You're testing those designs in real-time simulations. It's not just about individual learning anymore. It's about working together to solve real-world problems.
With AI as your partner.
Ex-
Okay, that's officially blown my mind. So we've got these phases, we've got this incredible platform, but I really want to ground this in some real-world examples. EON Reality highlights a bunch of specific use cases in their white paper, so let's dive into those next and see how this actually plays out in a real classroom setting.
Sounds good to me. Let's get into it. So one of the examples that really stood out to me from EON Reality's white paper was this rural school. They don't have a dedicated biology lab.
Oh, wow. So how do they teach biology?
Well, they're actually using EON XR to give their students a virtual field trip
Okay, I'm intrigued.
inside the human heart.
Whoa. Wait, so they're putting on these VR headsets and they're like transported inside a giant beating heart?
It's pretty much like that, yeah. But it's
Uh,
even cooler because the AI is there, like we were talking about.
Okay, so it's not just a visual thing, it's like an interactive experience.
Yeah. Right. The AI is acting as a guide. It's not just showing them around, but actually speaking to them, explaining things in their native language. It's making sure that the level of information is tailored to each student's understanding.
So it's almost like having this personal tutor, but it's a world-class anatomy expert.
Yeah, and that's regardless of where you are in the world.
That's amazing. And I bet it's so much more memorable than just reading about it in a textbook.
Oh, absolutely.
So what other examples did you find interesting?
Well, there was another one about a fourth grade robotics club. They were using EON XR to design and program a robot for like a simulated disaster relief mission.
Oh, wow. So they're not just learning how to code, but they're actually seeing their creation come to life, and it's
Oh,
doing something meaningful.
right, exactly. And the cool thing is they can test it out in these virtual environments and get feedback from the AI tutor.
So it's like learning by doing, but it's also, gamified. It's fun. Okay, that's really cool.
Hmm.
But what about, not all kids are super into science and tech, right?
Hmm.
Can Eon XR work for those students too?
Oh, yeah, for sure. They actually gave an example of a high school student who was struggling with writer's block.
Oh, I've been there.
So she uses EON XR to create this virtual world based on her story idea. It's kind of like brainstorming, but it's in 3D. She can actually visualize her characters and settings, get feedback from the AI on how to make things more vivid, more engaging.
So it's not just about those hard skills. It's about tapping into creativity no matter what the subject is.
Exactly.
I like that a lot. So all of these examples are still in that phase one, that AI agents phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when AI evolves into more of a collaborative partner, like in the AI worker phase?
So in that phase, things get even more interesting because EON Reality envisions classrooms becoming like these collaborative labs where students from all over the world can work together in a shared metaverse.
I'm picturing like a high school engineering class in the US partnering with students in Japan to, I don't know, design a sustainable city of the future or something.
Yeah, something like that. And it's all happening within this virtual space where, language barriers aren't an issue anymore because the AI is there translating everything in real time.
Whoa, that's some next level stuff.
Yeah.
But how does AI actually factor into that collaboration? Is it just facilitating the connection or is it doing more than that?
Oh, no, it's definitely doing more. The AI becomes like a member of the team.
Okay, so give me an example. How does that work in practice?
So imagine the AI is analyzing the students' designs in real time,
Okay.
pulling from this massive database of information about, architecture, engineering, environmental science, you name it. And then it can provide feedback, suggest improvements. It can even simulate how their city would actually function under different conditions.
So it's like having a super intelligent consultant working right alongside the students.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
But now I'm really curious. What about that final phase, the AI Titans phase? What happens when AI essentially surpasses human capabilities in almost everything?
Yeah, that's a big question, right? Because if AI can do it all, what's left for us?
Does learning even matter anymore at that point?
Well, EON Reality thinks it matters more than ever. They believe that this phase is when education has to shift from just acquiring, knowledge and skills to really understanding our unique role as humans in a world that's increasingly shaped by AI.
Okay, this is where things get really mind-bending.
It definitely does.
So how do you teach someone to be, like, uniquely human when AI is essentially becoming superhuman?
That's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
And one of the examples they give is a 12th grade philosophy class, and they're using EON XR to debate AI ethics.
Oh, wow.
And get this, they're joined by a virtual Aristotle.
Hold on. They're debating AI ethics with a virtual Aristotle.
I know, right?
That's wild. So what kinds of things are they discussing?
Well, Aristotle is posing these really profound questions about the nature of consciousness, the rights of machines, the potential dangers of superintelligence.
So it's not about fearing AI or trying to compete with it. It's about understanding its potential impact and figuring out where we fit into that future.
That's exactly it. EON Reality sees these three phases as a journey, each step pushing us to redefine what it means to learn and how to prepare for a future that's constantly evolving.
It's not just about learning specific skills anymore.
Right. It's about those things that make us human, adaptability, creativity, ethical decision making, the things that AI can't replicate.
I'm really struck by EON Reality's focus on the human element, even as technology becomes more and more advanced. They're not talking about replacing teachers, they're talking about empowering them.
Yeah, for sure. Technology is a tool, but it's the human connection teachers, mentors, collaborators that truly makes the difference in education.
Absolutely. So we've talked a lot about EON Reality's vision. But before we wrap up, I'm curious, what stood out to you as the most, I don't know, impactful or surprising aspect of their roadmap?
I think what impressed me the most was their emphasis on human connection and mentorship, even as technology gets, more and more sophisticated.
I completely agree. It seems like they really understand that technology is just one part of the equation.
Right.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, and EON Reality has definitely given us a lot to think about. For our listeners who want to delve deeper into their vision, we'll be sure to include links to their white paper and some other resources in the show notes.
Definitely worth checking out. It's a fascinating read.
One thing that really struck me about EON Reality's vision is their emphasis on how AI and XR can actually address some of the biggest challenges we're facing in education today.
Oh, for sure. Like student engagement. That's a huge one, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's tough to compete with all the distractions kids have these days.
Exactly. But imagine, instead of just reading about ancient Rome in a textbook, you could actually walk through the forum in VR.
Oh, come on. That's not even a fair comparison. Who wouldn't want to do that?
Right. It's so much more immersive. And not just immersive, but memorable, too. You're not just passively reading, you're actively experiencing it.
And EON Reality also talks a lot about how AI can help to personalize learning so that students can learn at their own pace.
Yeah, that's huge. Because not everyone learns the same way at the same speed.
No, definitely not. So with personalized learning, AI could identify the areas where a student needs more support.
And provide that support in a way that's tailored to their individual needs.
So we're moving away from this one-size-fits-all approach to education.
Exactly. And that could be a game changer, especially for students who might be struggling in a more traditional classroom setting.
Another thing that EON Reality highlights is the potential for global accessibility.
Oh, yeah. That's a really powerful aspect of this technology.
With EON XR being cloud-based, anyone with an internet connection can access these incredible learning experiences. It doesn't matter where you live, whether you're in a big city or a remote village.
That's right. We could really start to level the playing field when it comes to education.
It's amazing to think about. And it's not just about the students either. EON Reality also sees this technology as a way to empower teachers.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if AI can take over some of those more tedious tasks like grading and lesson planning.
Then teachers can have more time to focus on, building relationships with their students, mentoring, inspiring, all of those really human aspects of teaching that are so important.
Exactly. And AI can also provide teachers with real-time data on student progress so they can personalize their instruction even further.
So it's like having a personalized teaching assistant for every single student in the class.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, and EON Reality has definitely given us a glimpse into what the future of education could look like. But as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to ponder. If this vision becomes a reality, if learning really does become this personalized, immersive, and accessible experience, what does that mean for the future of learning, not just in the classroom, but throughout our lives?
That's a great question. Because if we have access to these kinds of learning experiences that are tailored to our individual needs and interests, it could completely change the way we think about lifelong learning. It could become something that we're constantly engaged with, not just something that we do for a certain number of years in a formal setting.
It's exciting to think about a future where learning is this dynamic, ongoing process, something we do because we want to, not because we have to, something that helps us grow and evolve throughout our entire lives.
And AI and XR could be the key to unlocking that potential. Well, on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those possibilities. For our listeners who want to delve deeper into EON Reality's vision, we'll be sure to include links to their white paper and other resources in the show notes. And in the meantime, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those minds curious.